Hi, I'm Martin Pierce from C2S, and I'm going to give you an overview of FlexiCapture 11 for invoices. So this is a program that can read or scan invoices, recognize them, and export the data into your account system. So in this demonstration, we're going to be exporting the data into Sage, and it's Sage 200. We also export into Sage 50 as well. So in this view here, we've got, this is called like the batch view. So I've got two batches, September week 1, September week 2. So if I can call those batches whatever I want, but if I go into week 1, these are all the invoices that I processed last week, and they're all perfect, and I'm ready to export those into our account system. But if I go back into working batches, and we go into September week 2, what I'm going to do is import some invoices and show you how that all works. So what I've done here, I've gone load images, and I've got some invoices that are in a folder waiting. Now typically these invoices are going to be emailed to us, or they're going to be sent through the post. If they're emailed to us, we've got a little tool that we just run, and it just goes off into our accounts at c2s.co.uk email address and brings down any email attachments that are invoices. So we have them kind of waiting for us in a folder, but I can also attach a scanner to my PC and scan the invoices in directly anyway. So I'm going to go back to load invoices. I'm going to multiple select all of the invoices here, so there's 8 of them, and click open. And what will happen now is it will work through these invoices and try and recognize them and make sense of them. Okay, so what we can see here, some of those invoices have gone to green, export straight away, and some of them say verification. I can get a kind of dashboard view here of some of the data that it's found. So for example, I can see the dates here, and I can see straight away that this date here for Answercom isn't correct. I can see that it's picked up my order numbers, the invoice numbers, the total, and also we get a confidence levels here. So no surprisingly, the ones which are green and ready for export are 100%. And the others are at 99%, suggesting there's some characters that might need verifying. So let's do that right away now. So if I multiple select those, and if I go run verification, now this is a really simple character verification view. So this is where we're sort of saying whether or not something is like an A or a B or an 8, that kind of thing. So what I've done there is I've just confirmed for the computer that or for the software, that the date is the 31st of August. I've just deleted a couple of row characters. This one here, we can see that below is what it's seeing on the paper. I've got a view of where that is down here as well, and the one character is red that it's unsure about. I'm just going to click confirm field, same again there, same again there, same again there. And actually all of those invoices are now green, ready for export. And if I wanted to, I could just hit the export button and we'd put them straight into Sage. So what I'd like to kind of stress though is the difference between an invoice which has been trained, and I'm going to show you those, and some which are straight out of the box, so to speak, and there's been no training at all. So if we take the Northamber invoice, we're going to go into that. I've got a view of the invoice over here on the left, and I've got first of all the company who has been invoiced. So for example, if you're an organization that has 6-7 different limited companies, we could set it so that it will independently identify which company has been invoiced. Also the supplier, so when we're sort of identifying the supplier, we're going to use things like the VAT ID. We're going to use, if they're there on the page, the bank account details, postcode. So there's more than kind of one variable that we use to identify a supplier. Things like the invoice number, the invoice date, the order number. Now the order number, for example, we've trained that. So this is an example of a supplier that we've had at least 3 of their invoices come in, and we've trained it. So for example, we told it this is where you're going to find our order number on the page. What I haven't done though is trained it to tell it where to find the narrative. So what I'm going to do here is just draw around that actually, and it's just populated this box here. So for example, when we send the invoice into Sage 200, if we want some narrative to go alongside the invoice, then we could just grab it, or we can train, if we're doing it afresh, we would train the invoice anyway. Now down here I've got some Sage data. So I've looked up that supplier into the Sage 200 database, and I've come back with a default nominal code for this supplier is 5,000. The cost center we use is this, department ID is this. We don't actually use Sage 200 in this business, so it's all kind of dummy data. Down here we found the total amount of the invoice, and if I go down to the tax analysis and expand that, it's quite correctly identified that the net is 267.89, VAT is 53.57, and the VAT rate is 20%. Now this version of the software will handle 0 rated items and also 5% items. So when we're exporting into Sage 200 and Sage 50, we can make sure that if we have to write 3 lines in per invoice, we will do. Now what some of you will have spotted straight away is that we're only at the moment with this particular project I've got, we are sending the whole invoice apart from the tax breakdown against one nominal code and one set of like cost center and department IDs. So we do understand that the chances are that many of our customers are going to require splitting this invoice down further. I mean, we've just literally got one line on the invoice and you know, a shipping amount. So we understand that if you've got multiple line invoices, you might want them held separately, and just talk to us because we have solutions for everything. If I go into say this Midwich invoice here, now this is one where I've not only trained the order number, but I've trained the narrative as well. So it knows to find any text down in this particular kind of segment of the page, it knows to include that in the narrative field. So this one's all spot on as well, which is really nice. The AnswerCom one hasn't been trained, so if we have a look at this, it's done it sort of 100% anyway. But for example, if I wanted to train the invoice and tell it where to find the order number every time, I would say I would click into the order number field, I would click this value up here, and then if you can see the train buttons become enabled. For example, if I wanted to train the narrative as well, I might click into the box, I would draw around this area here, and that will be, after we've done that 3 times, it would know to always look at this particular part of the page for the invoice. So let me hit the train button there. So that's the first one, that's done. And then when we did month 2 or month 3, or when we received different invoices from AnswerCom, we only get 1 a month from them, then after a certain period of time it would know where to find the settings. So if I was to go to view and then training batches, you can see where I am with my training. So certain of my key suppliers I've trained: Spielberg, TNT, UPS, Midwich and Northumber, and other ones I've got kind of just 1 invoice in the process and I haven't finished training them yet. So for example, Response Technical Services Limited, once I've seen another 2 invoices from them, I can train it and I can lock them, and from that point onwards I should benefit from all the corrections I've made. If I go back to my working batches, we're going to week 2. Now what we want to do is export some of these documents off into Sage 200, so let's do that. So I can multiple select them and export them all, but I'm just going to do one to start with. I should do the Northumber one and click the export button. And what's happened here is it's gone grey now. It's actually been exported. So let's do let's have a look at that in Sage. Okay, so if we go into Sage 200, as I am here, and if I go into current transactions, and we page down and we find this Northumber invoice, so we're looking for the today's date, which is the 5th of the 9th, so that must be it there. So if I highlight that, we can slide the bar along, 321.46, invoice number of this, order number of that. So if we go back to FlexiCapture, prove that's the case, yep, it's ending 3561 and 7613. Correct. Now if I wanted to reveal the image of that document, I actually filed it at the same time into our document management system. So if I Control C it to put it on the clipboard and press F11, and I go back into my document management system here, file director, and double click this link down here, then there is the actual PDF of the image that we sent into file director fully indexed as well. Now we could, if we wanted to, send this off for approval. So if I wanted to send it on to Didier Drogba for approval, I could do that. I would check it into the back into file director, and it would trigger an approval process onto him. So going back into our invoices here, back in FlexiCapture, that's the one that we've exported. If I now want to do the two Midwich ones and the third Northumber one, I would multiple select them, or I could select everything and hit the export button, and they would go off and do that. So I hope this overview of FlexiCapture has been useful. The best thing to do is just tell us what you need, and we will be able to consult with you to make sure that we give you the right build of the software. Thanks for watching.